Hey, what's up everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so did what I had to do with Target. Luckily enough, they fixed their ATM machine, so I could grab a little money out. I need to use it to buy some quarters, or get some quarters for laundry tomorrow, so I was able to accomplish that. Ah, man. Exhausted just like everybody else from what it is we're seeing around the country, around the world. I made a 40-minute video that you guys can check out. I was talking about certain things that I think could probably perk the mind of a few people who've been paying attention to this. There's a certain frustration that comes from a black person and a person of color, specifically anybody of color, who's had white supremacy terrorize our people. Seeing people act like this is the very first time terror is taking place in this country towards people, of citizens or what have you. It's not. I'm sorry what happened in Minnesota has happened, and I'm frustrated about it. But I don't get to act like I have no idea our country is capable of this or something like that, like a lot of people I'm seeing reacting to this. It's another thing that was pointed out to me that though it didn't really frustrate me, it did make me think a little bit. A lot of people are going around calling ICE agents Gestapo. Gestapo, from what I understand, was what was used with the mustache man, his people. That's what he called those guys who were going around in Germany snatching up Jewish people. That's my understanding of what Gestapo is. But I don't believe that that was the first time we've seen that behavior, because it was pointed out to me that a lot of what it is we're seeing with ICE is behavior that we saw when they was chasing slaves who had run away. Slave catchers. That's what we're seeing here. Some people of color were saying that they thought that people were using the word Gestapo because it allowed for people to look at it as if it's not an American behavior that ultimately we're seeing. But if we look back into the history books, you'll find that a lot of what it is those people were doing, they had taken from American practices in slavery. They had taken from a lot of that mentality of how to use psychological warfare against people from how the slaves were treated in those circumstances. And that they want to erase the history would make it so that you would not know the history, as to be able to identify those practices once been done again. This is the harm from allowing these people to erase our history. The breadcrumbs that are left in regards to the behaviors that they choose to use once again get forgotten. They did a lot of this already. As I keep telling you, the enemy is not a creative. His intention is to do things that work, things that have already been done before, he wants to do again. So it's nothing that you're seeing right now that hasn't already been done. It's not a whole lot that the enemy is intending on doing that he hasn't done before. His intention is to just do what works. Not necessarily create anything new, or engage in anything that hasn't already been seen a million times, if you were paying attention to when it was done. What he's hoping on is you not knowing the history or not caring about the people it was done to, as to not apply the necessary, I guess the word would be urgency or concern, for that it may happen to you. Slave catchers, friends. That's what we're seeing. The slave catcher mentality. Send your own people at you. Yeah, they'll send some of their own, but they ain't gonna risk too many of their lives. Nor do they actually want to be too close to you for whatever set of reasons. Some of which is because they may be afraid of you. Some of which is maybe they don't think they can communicate with you or reach you. Some of which may just be because they don't actually want to be around you because you disgust them that much. So if they can get as many people from your side, your clan, to capture your people, that kills many birds with one stone. Especially if they don't speak your language. Their intention is to essentially say, yo, man, find somebody that understands them and send them after them. Killing many birds with one stone with that action, in the sense that now they can accomplish all of what it is I described and also create infighting within your own people. Have you looking at each other funny because you had somebody that looks like you, speaks like you, come after you. They want to create a lack of trust amongst your own, stirring up nonsense within you and your people. Further confusion, further separation, which ultimately makes you weaker and not as much of a threat to them because of it. That's the purpose why you see so many brown ICE agents. That's exactly what it is. It's always about divide and conquer. It's all about stirring up mess within your circumstances so that you don't come united and focused together against them for all of the things that they've done that would earn that energy in the first place, and all the things that they intend to do going forward for which they need you to be weak in order to accomplish. And I do believe that it starts in a lot of cases with us raising our kids right, staying in the home so that our kids don't resent us, thus resenting our people, as we talked about many times in different videos. Having that relationship with God, not feeding your own demons so much as to find yourself compromised to the point where they could use you for such things, even against your better judgment or against your will. Little things like having good energy amongst people, not teasing people. Little things can trickle down to us having a less likely interest coming from our own people looking to turn on us. I don't know if it'll prevent it all, but it'll certainly help. If we limit some of our bad energy practices amongst our own people, less likely people from within our own will turn on us. It's not a perfect science, but I do believe it helps them when we do these things. Find people who are willing to do it. I do believe that. Maybe I'm all out of words at this point. I don't know. I think I've said so many different things. Trying to prepare people for what it is that we're seeing here. Trying to get people to understand that this was possible and not unprecedented. Trying to get people to understand that, we gotta really focus. We really have to focus on unlearning certain things that would make it so that we wouldn't pay attention to certain things that ultimately you need information from. We really need to focus going forward and identify within ourselves, our own individual walks, where we might have our minds closed off. That's so important, man. Although it's very vague and very broad of a statement, I think it applies to some things that maybe we can zero in on in our own lives. Where are we not focused? Where are we not paying attention? Where are we writing things off as acceptable that are not acceptable? Where are we in our spaces of opinion, equating certain consequences for people to them just deserving that or being them or not mattering because it's happening to them, or I'm afraid of those people, so whatever's coming their way likely makes me safer since it's happening to them, keeping them away from me. We got to start identifying where we're thinking that way, any of those ways, because a lot of what it is that can prepare us for what's coming our way is likely happening to people that we're not paying attention to. And if we were to look their way, you can understand what to expect. Where are we assuming that things can't happen to us? Oh, not in our neighborhood. Oh, this kind of stuff doesn't happen around here. Oh, that kind of stuff is only welcoming into your life when you do certain things. That's not going to happen to us. Where are we doing that at? Are you doing that with the Palestinians? Are you doing that with the Congolese people? Are you doing that with black people? Are you doing that with Mexican people? Are you doing that with gay people? Where are we not paying attention? Who are we assuming we can trust without actually vetting them properly? What is it that we've believed all this time that may not necessarily be true, but we never questioned it? This is the essence of what we need to start focusing in on, is unlearning certain things that we were taught. Because a lot of us has us nestled perfectly in a position to not be prepared for what's about to take place. What do we just ultimately just run toward when we feel whatever way we do? Because a lot of us have to be brainwashed in this way, especially in the Western world, in order to align with certain things that are meant for our destruction. How propagandized are you? What bad energy practice do you write off as acceptable or not bad at all, despite it when practiced hurting people? Because a lot of us are so lost in our practices of bad energy that we don't identify it as bad energy. But we know damn well, if we really break it apart, that it has a lot of bad energy attached to it, that we're really doing things the wrong way, that we're really hurting people with these behaviors, or being comfortable with people being hurt because of these behaviors, or what have you. It's within those spaces that the devil hides. And the art of his essence is truly in the deception hidden in the norms that ultimately are not right. I'll give you an example. Selling drugs. You know damn well that stuff hurts people and make fiends out of people. But because you from where you from and everybody gets money that way and you can't seem to find no money other way, you justify the bad energy that comes with the practice to assure yourself out of the poverty, to assure yourself the riches that you otherwise can't get. It's nestled in the space where you're comfortable with hurting someone else for the sake of yourself that the devil hides. I'll provide you another example. Eating bad foods, fast foods with a lot of greasy stuff, smoking cigarettes, filling our mouth full of sugar. And the essence of what it is we're trying to do is to survive. We want to survive our lives, and we equate putting this poison into our lives that we know creates disease, that we know creates heart problems, that we know makes us unhealthy in whatever way it does, as a quality of life perk that is meant to make us better, when it's really meant to make us worse. But within our nestled culture, we just find ourselves comfortable with it, or dare I say addicted to it. I'll give you another example. Cheating culture, having side pieces. You know damn well that's going to create turmoil in your household. You should probably discipline yourself against behaviors such as that it speaks to a betrayal and a lack of character within yourself. But a lot of people laugh about having side pieces, laugh about cheating on one another, write it off as if, well, I don't trust my loved one any damn way. But then the first thing they want to do is talk about loyalty and integrity. They don't have any integrity to the person that's closest to them. They ain't honorable to the people that they've devoted themselves in their bed to. Find themselves being unselfish in every other area, but allow the devil into this one. You giving all your money to charity, you sacrificing your life or whatever way, in the wonderful job that you have that saves lives, whatever it is you're doing in life that would make God happy. Within the culture that you agree to, you're betraying your loved ones that God put in your life. And you don't even look at it as a problem because it's agreed upon. Or you think you can get away with it. Or it's not properly condemned. You ain't properly scolded for it. Or it's worked into the equation of the experience of being with somebody that you ultimately get cheated on or do some cheating. The devil is directly in those spaces hiding, creating unnecessary chaos that we write off as just happenstance or part of the game or what it is that's just going to happen. No, those things don't have to happen. We are programmed to agree to certain things that bring about pain into our lives, into the lives of our loved ones. We got to start identifying those areas and start unlearning that madness, properly condemning those behaviors, properly disciplining against those behaviors in our own selves so we can disarm the enemy instead of letting him hide in plain sight in our lives. It's until we see that as a means that is necessary, do we stop taking on the pains that come with those behaviors? Do we start clearing up our visual so that we can see clearly? It's nestled in those spaces do we find ourselves most distracted from the things that ultimately align us with ways of being able to properly protect ourselves when the devil is working in other areas around us. This is how you see so many people comfortable with genocide. This is where it starts. The devil is hidden in certain spaces within the interwoven workings of their lives to where they're not able to properly identify poor energy in certain areas as to allow for it to take place in others for the sake of certain things that they just think are just going to come with life when it don't have to. Then when you don't have none of those things going on in your life and you see certain things that happen that are not right, suddenly you're able to identify it as, yo, that's an abnormality of reality. That is not supposed to be taking place. No, we're not supposed to be comfortable with that. And I'm not too compromised to allow it to happen for the sake of hiding other secrets. No, I'm not going to let them do that. And they can't make me because there's no way for them to blackmail me. Because I don't have this going on. I don't have that going on. I don't have that going on. And I'm free to speak the truth. I don't want those things because I know what comes with them ain't no good. I'm not drawn to those things because I properly condemn those things in my life so they can't just wave them in my face and say that I should want them as to compromise me that way. I'm properly condemning all the different bad energy things in my life, and the devil is not able to use any of those things to coerce me into behaving the way he wants me to behave. This is the secret that is hidden in plain sight. And the things that we write off as okay when we need to understand are not right. And unfortunately, we're in a space where the preacher man ain't going to say that because he hasn't disciplined himself in this way in certain areas. So he's going after certain bad energy practices that leave him compromised to the devil in one way or another. So it doesn't benefit him to tell you this, nor is it something that's ever been suggested to him or taught to him or driven into his head, like the cultures of the things that he ultimately allows that he shouldn't, like being comfortable taking away from people who don't have a lot, pouring it into his pockets because it's the culture. There ain't no culture. That's a bad energy practice unchecked that leaves you compromised, aligning with the devil without even you realizing it. And enough of those things in his life has him aligning with Israel. Enough of that culture in his mind allows him leading his people down a path where they're comfortable with certain people being genocided for the sake of something written in the book. That if you very easily had a strong enough relationship with God and a strong enough understanding of what good energy and bad energy is truly defined as, you would never let coerce you down those paths. You would never let those things actually confuse you into thinking they're any good for you. They're not. You shouldn't be doing any of these things. And if you weren't wasting your time with these things, you probably would have likely been coerced by the Lord towards spaces where he can help you discover other things that you're not paying attention to. It's that you're wasting your time with these bad energy practices that keeps you from the information, the understanding, and the alignment with what it is that's truly best, for what it is that is truly blessed. Bdf 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.